NFL sports fans, welcome back to the newest addition to the Big Patty Gaming. We have the NFL Divisional Breakdown, NFC and AFC, along with the playoff picture prior to Week 12 coming at you today. So, with that being said, let's just jump straight into the action. Of course, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, become part of the Big Patty Gaming community, and stay up to date on everything sports related when it comes to the NFL. First off, the NFC East, it consists of the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Giants. Prior to Week 12, the Eagles were standing tall at 9-1. They are the first team to come back into the following football season and have a winning record to go to the Super Bowl, since I think the Bills were the last team to do it in the 70s. So that's a huge thing. Of course, they added DeAndre Swift. They've got other great receivers throughout the year, Julio Jones. So the team is stacked, and I don't see them losing many. They got a good game. Of course, Week 12, they had the Bills, great game. They won that. Also, the following week, I do believe they got the 49ers. So that's going to be another big test for them. At some point, that we need to see them play the Ravens. They have a lot of good talent. They just got to continue to move forward with it. Next, you got Dallas. Dallas has a winning record because they have won against teams with losing records. They have beat the Washington Commanders. They have beat the Giants. Both of them teams there you see are losing teams. They played the 49ers, lost to them. So they're iffy. We'll show you where they stand at right now in the playoff picture. You have the Commanders, who need help. They have a strong offensive wide receiver core. They got Sam Howell, who's leading the league in passing into this week. Just need to get some different coaching, I would believe, would help. The Giants, I mean, they look like they could do good this year. They had a healthy team, but they're 3-8. With that being said, they need to continue to lose out, and then if they do that, they could get decent draft picks and hopefully rebuild the team. They need a quarterback, in my opinion. They have a good rookie, DeVito, but I don't think he could carry the team from there. Next, we move on to the NFC South, the division that always struggles to have a high caliber team produced out of it. It is always a team that has to have someone win, even though there shouldn't be, unfortunately. You have the Saints, Derek Carr, and that offense has struggled, but at the moment and coming into this week, they were the number one team. You have Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. They have great talent across the field, just cannot put together a winning drive or winning consecutive drives to get them out of that 4-6 slump. The Falcons, on the other hand, they have a really young offensive core. I don't see them having a lot of issues from here on, going into next year, going into the next season, per se. They just need to get a few more draft picks. Carolina, on the other hand, has a tremendous amount of issues. The wide receiver core is not as good as what it once was. You have a young quarterback, so it's not his issue, in my opinion. He is still learning. This is not college, it's the NFL. And that's a tremendous difference when you jump from that one level to the next. Carolina just needs good draft picks. I think they could be a decent team, not a contending team, for a playoff run. It takes 2 to 3 years, I would say there. Next, the surprising NFC North. What a change of events this has been in a year's time. The Detroit Lions are sitting tall at the start of this Week 12 events at 8-2. With that being said, they did play on Thanksgiving, so I know a lot of y'all already know that result. But with that being said, I do believe they can recover from where they're at and still be a big contending playoff team. in the NFC. Even if they do squeeze into third place, they won't get a bye because of Philly, but they can get a home game in Detroit. I do believe if they don't get San Francisco in that, they should be a pretty decent contending team from there on out. You have the Minnesota Vikings. This team here has a lot of great talent as well. Joshua Dobbs coming in here has tremendously helped. Just on the simple fact that he's coming in with that have to win attitude and have to prove that I can do this. He was really struggling before in Arizona, but coming over to the Vikings, he has changed. I can only imagine what's going to happen once we get Jefferson back there. You have the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love. He has kicked it in the high gear here towards the end of the season. He's starting to show that talent that he had, and also showing the knowledge he learned from Rodgers in his time there. So I can only see them improving. I don't see them going too far into moving up the ranks, but yet again, we are only at week 12. You have the Chicago Bears, who is kind of like the rest of the 3-8 teams in the NFL right now, struggling, trying to get their identity with a quarterback, get an understanding of what needs to happen with that team. I think in the next 2 years, they will be a different team coming out. The toughest division outside of the NFC is the NFC West. These 4 teams here, it is always a last minute week. Always comes down to it. You got the 49ers. You got Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. That's just the offensive side. High caliber, extremely talented team that is just continuing to steamroll now that everyone's healthy. Honestly, unfortunately, I'm a Seahawks fan, and I see them taking that division this year, unfortunately. But it's not going to be a bad thing. Just on the simple fact that we shouldn't have to play them once we get to the playoffs. Now, with that being said, Seattle. We have a great young team outside of the aspects of who is there. Kenneth Walker at running back, a tremendous workhorse for us. He is averaging, I do believe, about 10 yards a carry now. I'll have to check that for y'all as well. And then you got, on the outside, you got DK Metcalf, an absolute monster. And then you got Tyler Lockett on the outside as well. And then we added the Ohio State wide receiver Smith on the inside, who is doing a great rookie wide receiver job this year for us. With that being said, of course, we have to move on to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are a hit and miss team this year. They play good against good teams, play good against bad teams, and then will play bad against both. So, of course, with this, Matthew Stafford, Apuka Anuka, I do apologize about that. Great rookie add-on for them. You got Cup, who's doing Cup-like things. So they have the talent there. I see it coming together later in the season. I don't see there being a tremendous issue. I don't know if they'll slide in or not. But there is that possibility. Now, we got the Arizona Cardinals. They have gotten Kyler Murray back. They are performing at a higher octane level than what they were previously. But I don't think just Murray coming back at this point is going to save their season. It will help them, but I do not see them squeezing into the playoffs at this point. Now, let's switch over to the AFC Divisional standings through the first 11 weeks. And a lot of surprises here for us across the board. Let's start off a little different. We're going to go to the AFC South, the most surprising division there was for us so far. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram. I mean, it's a star-studded team. It's got a lot of good caliber as well. And they are performing that way. They've lost some good games, but it doesn't hurt them in the aspect of they can't make it. They can make it to the playoffs, but they have to be at top tier shape there to win it out. Now, you got the Houston Texans, 6-4. You see that right? They are 6-4 on the season already. CJ Stroud is one of the best rookie quarterbacks in the league. He is on the road to beat the Andrew Luck record that was set for rookie passing yards in a single rookie season. He's putting up 500-yard passing games. I mean, the man is out here just doing great things, putting together last-minute drives. I see them, unfortunately, making it too far into the playoffs. They are still a young team. CJ Stroud does have a lot of learning to do, but this is a huge year for him. You got the Colts, who were extremely hopeful that Richardson was going to be the answer at quarterback. He showed that he was, and then he got hurt. He had a surgery, season ending, so that kind of set them back. They're still 5-5. They broke even so far, but I don't know if they can come back with Minshew far enough to get into the actual aspects of the playoffs and be successful. Then you got the surprise fall of the Titans. I don't know what went wrong here this season. Tannehill, he just not performing at the normal level he does. Injuries, not able to run the ball. There's a lot of key issues going on here. Defense can't stop the run or pass, obviously, with them being 3-7. So I think a new outlook here would be to try to get maybe a different quarterback and go from there. But of course, we will see how that unfolds. The next little four we're going to look at here is the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins are red hot with Mostert at running back and A-Chain. That dynamic duo there is the fastest running back group there is. You got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, who is continuously putting up big numbers. Tua is doing absolutely fabulous this year. He's not doing as well as I was hoping coming into the season, but sitting at 7-3 here in the AFC East is exactly what I thought they would be. The Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, have fallen tremendously from what I thought they would be coming into the season. They've had a rough schedule. They've lost a lot of close ones. I do believe they're like 2-5 when it comes to winning games that are within 2 points. So that's not a good look for them, especially coming in from last year, being in the championship once again. So I do believe the Bills will continue to have a little bit of issues and make the wild card, but I don't see them coming anywhere farther than that. You got the Jets, who were hopeful that Aaron Rodgers was the answer for them this year. He could have been. There's a lot of good talent there, but of course with his Achilles injury, but he's supposed to be coming back in December, so we're going to see how that unfolds. I don't know if they can squeeze into the playoffs with him coming back there, but there's always the possibility, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. You got Belichick and the Patriots, who are having the worst season that I can remember since I started watching football. The Patriots have always been a dominant team. This year, sitting at 2-8 is a real, for me, it's an embarrassment to that organization just because of what Belichick has done several years and back-to-back years. Going on to the AFC North, the toughest in the AFC, in my opinion. You have the Ravens with a new offensive coordinator with OBJ added into the mix. Mark Andrews is now injured, so that's going to make a difference. Lamar Jackson is playing at great levels again. He is putting up numbers like he did when he got his MVP. I don't know if that will take them to the Super Bowl, but they are on the right track. They just have to continue to move forwards. They cannot let Mark Andrews be a huge setback here. The Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson was performing great for them. They have won 7 out of 7 games and only lost 3 here. But now with his shoulder-ending surgery, I don't know if they can go forward. I don't know exactly if the backup quarterbacks can hang in there. But yet again, backup quarterbacks have done it before. Just look at Tom Brady. He's a prime example of don't count the bench out of it. But, of course, we'll move on to the Steelers, who have gotten rid of their offensive coordinator, and now their quarterback coach is calling the plays. So I do believe their season is going to turn around. I hate to say that, but going into it 6-4, going into week 12 is not a bad situation for them. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record, so if that holds true, they'll be in the playoffs. Now, the Bengals sitting at 500, 5-5. They have lost Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, so the team has had a lot of injuries this year. They were hoping to come in at 100% and be the dominant Cincinnati team that we know they could be. With everyone being healthy, unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So I think they can win a few, end out the season on a high note, hopeful for what can come, but I don't see them squeezing into the playoffs this year. The AFC West is always extremely close. It's always a 1 or 2 game decision. And with that, let's deep dive the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost week 1. They've lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Eagles. They've lost to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. And then they lost to the team that should have beat them in the Super Bowl. With that being said, the Chiefs are starting to struggle. Not exactly sure why, though. I mean, they've done it without Tyreek, so that's not an issue. I think it's a mindset that they've gotten into that, hey, we're a dominant team. We can just run through them, and upsets happen, and they own a team like the Broncos and lose out. Now, I don't think they'll lose out and get knocked out of the playoffs. I just don't see them making it to the final divisional round. I don't want to still be in the Super Bowl this year. The Denver Broncos sitting at 5-5. Russell Wilson started off at 1-5. They have won 4 consecutive games. He has had at least 2 or 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing in each of those, I do believe. I don't know if they have what they need yet at the moment to get into the playoffs, but I do know that they are a high caliber team as well once everyone's healthy. And so I say within the next year we can see them moving into a deeper playoff positioning. The Raiders have always, for some reason, struggled, in my opinion, to get things moving the way they would need to. Here recently, 5-6 is not bad, but it's also not good for the AFC. So I don't see them making it to the playoffs either. The Chargers is a disappointment at the moment. They had a lot of great players. Herbert is just, I don't think he's in the right position at the moment with the team around him to make it fall into the playoffs. And unfortunately, that's why they're sitting at 4-6. So with that being said, let's break down and look into where the playoff picture is at the moment. So, on the AFC side, you got the Ravens, who are the first seed. Chiefs falling at 2nd. The Jaguars falling at 3rd. The Dolphins falling at 4th. The Browns 5th, Texans 6th, Steelers 7th. Great seeding for all those teams. I don't have an issue with any of that going into it, on the simple fact that those teams are exactly where they need to be for what they have done and their conference, per se. Texans win a few, could go to 5th. Browns lose a few, could get completely out of it. Now, with that being said, you got the Bills, who are in the 8th, Colts in 9th, Broncos in 10th, and the Bengals in 11th. I could see the Bills slipping into it and possibly the Broncos. Depends on how it unfolds. But I'm currently okay with the AFC, how it sits. See, like I said, the Eagles are 9-1. First team to do that since I do believe the 70s when the Bills did it. Going back-to-back first seeds in the playoffs. The Lions, absolutely, they're number one. 49ers, absolutely, unfortunately, they're number one. Saints are number one as well. Those all right. Those three, just because they are ahead of that division, ahead of the Inter 4 conference. And let's look at the 7, 6, and 5. You got the Vikings, who could easily be knocked out by the Packers. Just depends on how the Packers play out the rest of the season. The Seahawks, sitting at 6, would have to go to San Francisco if the playoffs started today. So I that would be a tough one for us. But yet again, that's how that needs to be. And Dallas. If Dallas has an easy road from here on out, I don't see them dropping any of this. But yet again, they lose to the good winning teams. They beat the bad ones. So I could easily see the Rams slipping in there. The Packers could easily take that place. It's the NFC is so unpredictable. I can guarantee though spots 1, 2 are going to be set from here on out. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there is your NFC Divisional Breakdown with the current playoff picture. Of course, we appreciate all you sports fans who do come and hang out with us here. Of course, hit that subscribe, ring the bell, become part of the community. We'll see you in the next one.